I've been putting this video off for days. I know I had to record it. It was like a thing, but my nails are not done. I mean, they're not done, but they're not the color I want. I never wear red, and so I wanted excuses, right? My hair's not done. I usually wear it down, and I realized the whole video is the fact that you're never going to be completely done. So here we go.
Sabrosura pa' ti que
Nobody showed me how to do this. And I've learned on the go, on the fly, just kind of like figuring it out. And why not show you that messy process? So let me show you what I use to do café con pan, to create café con pan. Porque if I can do it, so can you. So I'm going to go with the hardware. Today we're going to talk about the hardware only. I can talk about the software, but the whole idea of this tech stack that I had planned for a long time is to show you the hardware. So first is Shure mic. This is an MV7. This is the latest version. I had the version before. It broke actually the connector right here because I use the USB-C connector. I think because I bring it up and down often, it eventually gave in. And so I got a new one. It's great. I love it. Never have technical difficulties. Recommend. Sure, sponsor me. I've used you. I'm loyal to the brand. I've used you forever. I have this handy dandy arm as well. It's an Ixtech. I've had it for a long time, years, literal years. And it's moved locations with me. It's propped into my desk and it's just chilling. Like, it's awesome. These are stationary. They stay plugged in all the time. I don't move them because I work from home and that's what I use. That's what I use for Zoom calls. That's what I use for podcast recordings. The microphone always stays the same. Even when I use headphones, I still use the microphone as my input. And so I can move the mic. The cool thing about Shure, this microphone, is that I can move it and you can still, like, it can be out of frame. It's not fully out of frame, I guess. I can still move it out of frame and you can still hear my voice. Maybe it's not as crisp as if it was closer to my face, but I don't know. Maybe this might be a test where we want to place the mic. You tell me where you like it. Do we like it at the top? I don't know. It kind of like it's a little inconspicuous. Okay, número dos, we have our Insta360 camera. I've had it for maybe a couple of years. Now. I really love this camera. The resolution's great. It's 4K. Before that, I had a Logitech cam. That was it worked. It was a 4K camera, but there was some challenges with that one that the software and the hardware didn't fully connect at times. This Insta360, love it. The video is crisp. It records in 4K. It has a microphone in it. I never use it because I use this other mic, and I think you can hear my dogs now. I have a Mac Mini also. So that is my, I guess, home for all things computer. I used to have a MacBook Pro and then I switched to a Mac Mini because I was no longer traveling. When I was traveling back and forth between Colorado and San Diego, and between Arizona and San Diego, or Arizona, California, Colorado, California, and elsewhere, I was taking my laptop with me and it was quite useful. So I would come back and plug it to my 2 monitors. But then when David moved here, I didn't have to travel anymore. So I got a Mac Mini and I do love it. The challenge is that I'm pretty stationary. So if I'm at my desk, then there's nothing really work elsewhere because I got rid of my laptop. So I only have the Mac Mini, which is, I mean, it's great. It's really tiny, you know? And according to the people at Apple, I I talked to them and I was like, this is what I do. What should I get? And they recommended the memories and the RAMs and like all the things. I don't know. But it works. It works really well. Back to the tech stack, I have 2 monitors. And something interesting is that because I moved from a laptop and a monitor that I had in 2 different offices, when I consolidated my 2 offices, I ended up with 2 big monitors. And so now the Mac Mini has 2 monitors. One is a Samsung, one is an Asus. I know, but I don't do a lot of design work anymore that requires, a lot of color calibration. And so I know that people, like the techie people, are going to be like, oh, blasphemy, but it works for me. For the type of work that I do, it's fine. I have 2 iPhones, so I should have cleaned them before. Give me a second. I think part of my hardware are these like alcohol pads. They're quite useful. So phones, I have 2 phones. I know I don't pay for 2 phones though. So one is on airplane mode all the time and it uses Wi-Fi because I need my phone for day-to-day stuff. And then the other phone, sometimes I give it to Brenda, who's part of the Cover Compound team, and she takes it and records and records me or records content. And then the other one, alcohol wipes for the win. The other one stays with me. So I have the iPhone 15 Pro, and this one is my day-to-day phone. I know it's the 15 Pro, but I like the size. I got used the Pro Max, sorry. I got used to the Pro Max size from the first Pro Max that existed. And I couldn't, when I got this 16, shout out to our friends from Apple, I got the 16 in regular size, and then like it just, I could not. My pretty big hands, and so I just couldn't text. It would just felt a little tricky, even though this is a newer phone. I used the 16 for the 16 Pro. I use it for content. Has a better camera, has a better microphone, has better hardware, so it works really well for content and it stays charging. And then this is my day-to-day phone, which is a 15, which I use it for messages and like I record my stories in it, just simple stuff. But I know you might be raising an eyebrow. I do. It's quite useful to have the 2 phones. One is a backup as well. And, because Team Apple, everything is synced together. My handy dandy iWatch, I'm attached to it. I have a personal relationship with my iWatch. Saved my life a few years ago when I landed in the hospital. My watch was like, is your heart good? Because it's beating a little too fast. And I was triaged for heart attack or stroke. And thankfully, it ended up being neither. And I left the hospital without either of them. So, but if it hadn't been for my watch telling me your heart rate's beating too fast, I would have just thought I'm overthinking. So my watch is synced to my phone, my 15, and sometimes I use the watch if I'm by myself, it's quite useful to use it to connect to my camera. And so I can prop my phone whatever I want, and then I connect it to the camera on the watch, and then I say yes, take the picture, no, take the picture, etc., etc. And you can see it. You can see the picture in it. The watch it's also not the newest one. It's a Series 9. So my watch is a Series 9. Shout out to my friends from Apple who sent me this watch after they heard my story. You know what? Might need another wifey, but I have an iPad Pro. This is what's become my mobile computer or device, I guess. I use it for drawing. I had the incredible joy and honor to illustrate a book, and my iPad I actually got the iPad from the money I got paid from the illustrations, because I used so my previous iPad was it was also an iPad Pro, but it was older, and so this is a newer one, and I use it all the time for so many things. I use it to plan, I use it to doodle, I use it to actually illustrate. I do so much on my iPad. One thing that's a little bit limiting, because I use it now, I have a keyboard for it, and I use it to on the go, is that because it's still an iPad, sometimes apps don't work, or because the infrastructure, the software of it, it's mainly apps instead of browsers or web. It's different. It's a little tricky. So there's a lot of limitations that I have that I can't do on the iPad as I can do on my computer. Also, being used to two monitors, it makes such a difference, to be honest. And having a tiny monitor, like a 12-inch compared to like two 27-inch monitors, yeah, you get used to it. So I use my handy dandy Nomono sound capsule, and I met the folks at Nomono. Oh my gosh, so many years ago. I don't remember, maybe 5, 6 years ago. And they had a booth in podcast movement. And so they had this very they're Europe. This is a European brand. And I remember their booth was like so like clean, and like it was very like sharp lines, and it was like super minimalistic, right? And so I was like quite curious, and they had a monitor, a huge monitor with like sound waves, and I was like, what is this? So I went up to them, and they showed me that this is a portable recording studio. And I fell in love with it, because for the longest time, when I started Cafe Con Pam, I needed this to exist, because the whole idea of Cafe Con Pam was for us to have cafecito and have a beautiful conversation at a coffee shop. But for a long time, I didn't have the equipment. And then Nomono was born, and I was like, you read my mind. So it looks like this. It's a little sound capsule that right now it's dead, but it turns on, and what it does is there's 4 microphones to choose from. You put this in the middle of the table or whatever you're recording, and then you get to share the mics with people. And these mics are just as loyal as my Shure. The sound, oh, so good. And so it's really cool. One of my favorite things is that this capsule has microphones. This capsule has 8 microphones throughout. And so what this does is it captures the surround sound of the environment where you're recording. And they have, so it's a hardware company, and it's a teapot that I carry with me. And it's also a software company, because they also have their own proprietary software that you upload automatically. The capsulita, as I call it, the capsule uploads the recordings that I may record. When I connect back to Wi-Fi, it uploads to the software, and then inside the software you can enhance it. And when you enhance the sound, they can either take the 360 from the capsule, the voice from the microphones, and they can make it sound amazing. This is a fave. Listen, Nomono for the win. The only challenge with Nomono is that it's a little bulky, right? Like it's meant for you to carry it like this. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. I don't have time to just like carry my whole backpack with my equipment plus this little tiny thing. And frankly, this is quite expensive. I can't just bump it with things. So the only challenge is that the design, well, it's different. It's not the most convenient to carry. Then we have the handy dandy GoPro. This is a GoPro 11, and I I don't know. I may have gotten a faulty one because the battery dies within 20 minutes. Most of the time, not always, but most of the time, I'm recording myself by myself. And so having the camera, I mean, I bought the creator, look at the old logo. I bought the creator bundle, which comes with this tripod. And so you set the camera up and there's a red dot right here, right? But if I'm interviewing somebody and I have the camera propped, I can't just be watching all the things. And many interviews, I lost half the footage because after 20 minutes, the battery died. And even with this, so this tripod is also a battery. So you connect it, you plug it to the camera, and then it should kind of like feed if the battery dies. But it never worked for me. And so GoPro, I still use it, but it's more so a backup hardware than a primary one. I trust my iPhones more, sadly. So GoPro, holla at me if I may have a faulty one because I mean I know people love their GoPros and that's why I got mine because I'm like, I can like carry the GoPro, have a mic, a Nomono mic, and just be doing interviews. But then this did not work just as good. So this is a mirrorless Fuji XT2. This is the camera I used to use when I was a photographer a decade ago, more than that. And what I did is I have 3 backup cameras. Usually, this camera comes out when we are doing long format content outside of my office because the resolution's great, because iPhones are great. I love the Fuji colors, frankly. I know you can alter them in iPhone if you like the color calibration, but I do love the way Fuji records. Like, oh, the colors are so good. So I virtually have to do not much afterwards because the colors are so good. And so some majority of my YouTube interviews thus far have been recorded on iPhone or GoPro. But coming soon, I got extra batteries to avoid the challenge of the GoPro for the Fuji. So we'll be using this one more moving forward. And I think the videos are going to be much better. Because I asked myself, what do you have that already is great? And I was like, bro, you have like a whole mirrorless camera. It's not the latest and newest, but it works amazing. And I love it. I mean, I have different pieces of hardware. This is a good one that I use often. I take it with me when I am going to, even if I'm going to a networking event, I know that my phone is probably going to be either low or I'm going to need some battery. So it's magnetic and and then your phone starts charging. And so it gets a little bit bulky, but not so much that you're like, oh, I can't. And the case that I use for my phone allows me to do this. And so in case I'm like about to drop it, I've saved my phone so many times. So these little pieces of hardware are quite useful. Of course, headphones. For my day to day, I use these JLab headphones. They're over the ear. So I like them because I can hear my dogs, I can hear my outside environment, and I can still hear my clients. And every time I'm on calls or podcast, I use these. I know all the sound engineers are gonna be like, terrible choice to use Bluetooth headphones for audio recording, because the recommendation is for you to use the wired headphones. It's better, there's no delay, but these have worked really great thus far. I also have my AirPods Pro, and these are a few years old. Creo que se me está olvidando algo. I really think I am forgetting something. I don't know, but I went through all the things that I use. So, you've now watched this not techie first gen Latina show you her whole operation. I don't have an IT department. And usually I have an incredible small and mighty team, Nancy, Brenda, Maru, who work on the podcast with me. Pero I typically record everything on my end and then I send it out to them and then they take care of things on their end. So I don't have people to physically do this with, like, I don't have a studio where we have, like, you know, tech people and doing all the things. So I figure it out between calls, between clients, you know, with my nails undone. We're doing this. And I decided to share this because people often ask me, you know, like, you have so many episodes, you've been doing this for a decade, and I think it was time for you to see a little behind the scenes that my setup is not overly complicated. And I think what inspired me was when I was talking to a client who said, "Oh, I want to start a podcast, and I'm going to create my studio, my guest room, my studio, because I want to be professional." And I paused for a second and I said, "Look, I don't have a guest room as my studio, and I'm still professional." And so I think that was my inspiration to kind of like show you that you can be a professional as you think you are with little setup. Like, being professional does not equal having the most expensive equipment or the fanciest setup. It means that you do your work with passion, with vision, and with focus. That's it. And you stay consistent with it. The secret is that nobody knows what they're doing in the beginning, and nobody knows what they're doing in the end. Because everyone is figuring it out as we go. And the point is to start. So if you've been thinking about creating something, just get started. I didn't have a plan. I bought a microphone from my retired rapper on Craigslist, and I told him I was going to start a podcast, and he was like, "Cool." He didn't know what it was at the time. And here we are, 10 years later. If you came to this video maybe thinking that you needed more to get started, or maybe that you were expecting something super elaborate, I forced myself in a way to give it to you raw and real, because I think that's what makes us us. That's what makes first gens, people without the resources, figure it out. And yeah, eventually we'll get to the studio. I've never personally wanted the studio. I feel like it's too trendy. I feel like I do interviews in coffee shops. I want to keep it that way. And so if you want the studio, start with a microphone. Start with the camera that you have. Give yourself permission to take the first step with what you have, because that's what we've always done. That's what our people has always done. So I believe that you can make it happen, because I did. Y bueno, that was my tech stack. Maybe I'll do another one in a few years that maybe it's a little bit more complicated. I don't know. But for now, this is what we got. This is what you get. Unfinished or undone nails from last week. Nos vemos hasta la próxima. Te mando un abrazo si lo recibes. Si no lo recibes, bueno, un high five, un fist pump, whatever works for you. Y como siempre, sigue brillando.
Sabrosura pa' ti que.